Tracy Waldman Phillips.
Hey, Wilwin, how are you?
I am in an excellent mood today.
I am glad to hear that. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to our eavesdroppers. Welcome to season 5, EP15. Ah, September's here.
It is. And so I'm guessing, for the people who didn't know, the reason we did the quick, hey, we're going to be on live. And by the way, we're not going to be on live. Wilwin wasn't feeling very well. So we're very happy that he's back and he's in a good mood and he's feeling good.
Yes, I am. Yes, life happens, right? Life happens. So truly appreciate all of you who were holding your breath, waiting for us. Yay.
Yeah, Wilwin is texting me saying, I'm so excited for today.
I know.
We miss this, don't we? We really miss it.
Sometimes you think when I'm coming to it, I'm going, oh, what are we going to talk? What are the discussions? But then I come and I go, I'm excited to be here. So excited to be here. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you said that because I think, we've been doing this now. This is our 5th season. And technically we kind of had a short season 1 year, a very short season.
Very short.
But, the practice now is realizing that there is no need to focus on what we're going to talk about. We know that that's just an organic happening, right? Like it's not even a thing. It just, it's called forth. And so when we realize we don't have to focus on the headspace stuff, we make room for the heart stuff and how we feel, because ultimately we make most of our decisions not based on what we think. That's not always true. But if we're left to our own devices, whether we know it or not, most of the time we're making decisions based on our feelings about the thing in consideration, not so much that logical, because I have to do it this way. And if we do make decisions based on the logical, at some point it's like willpower. It'll run out if it's not aligned to our heart as well. We can only stay in choices that don't align to our heart for so long before that ripcord gets pulled.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is what eavesdroppers, and here's what, for those of you who are watching or listening, we go back to them and go, we said that. Okay, that was the conversation. And we are amazed, even as we're speaking, what's coming out. And just to buttress what you said, I think it's being grounded is our true selves coming out, and not the planned one that goes, okay, we're going to discuss this at segment B. We'll discuss that. And not saying those are wrong, right? But it's just the way this is the model of eavesdrop. And, why am I going back? So 5 years ago, and that's what's coming. 5 years ago, someone introduced Tracy and I, and we got on the phone. And as we were talking, and just on the phone for about, I think, an hour, and all it was doing was this was happening, this was occurring. And as it occurred, I think we planned a second conversation. It was during the second conversation, it came up, why don't we just go online and do this? Because what we're
Yeah,
talking here is so important. And that's how eavesdropping a moment came. Ha!
it happened
What's
in
on
the
your
moment.
mind?
That was your
And
enlightened idea. I mean, that was you saying, "Hey, gosh, I don't know about you, but I'm getting so much. I mean, we get so much juice, right, out of these
yes,
engagements."
yes,
And you're thinking
yes,
always about paying it forward. And so is that concept of
yes.
like, I don't know what you're thinking, but like if we just put it out there in the ether, I mean, maybe nobody will be listening, maybe one person will be listening. But if it helps them the way it helps us, why not open that up? Which
So it's
yeah.
so it's our therapy. You guys are here joining us. So
Yeah, our talk therapy. Well, I was talking to someone today, so I was doing a human design report read today. Where
uh,
I
where's mine?
generate.
Where's mine? Where's
Yeah,
mine?
I know. I was going to tell you. I have to get. It has been so busy here the last couple weeks, and so it's on my list. It is on my
Gotcha.
list. I promise you, I'll
Gotcha.
get it to you. But it takes about an hour to generate the reports, and but as I'm doing it, I'm also kind of getting into that energy of
Mm,
the person, right? So when I do a read, it essentially is that person has received their report. They've looked, hopefully, ideally, looked it over at least initially, and then we kind of go down and I answer questions and explain it in context a little bit more.
gotcha.
And that was, kind of one of the things that came up in today when I was talking to somebody is,
Hmm.
she said, "Wow, this is so helpful because there's many times that I'm hearing you telling me kind of from a very neutral standpoint, like this is what the design is and this is what it means."
Hmm.
And she said, "I realize that some of the things you're mentioning are," and hold on really quickly, I just realized our cleaners are coming in and I didn't close my door. So
Do
I'll be
your
right
thing. Do your thing. So, but yeah, I she owes me a human design report, and I can't wait to see it. Yes.
Yes, I do. I owe you a human design report. You will be the next person on my list. So,
Ah.
but she was saying, she said, you're saying a lot of things to me that resonate very much. They validate how I feel like I'm inclined to do things. But she
Hmm.
said in the couple of instances, I've been giving it a meaning because it doesn't align with the way the world has kind of taught me to be. I've
Mm.
given it a meaning that there's something wrong with me because I like for
Oh.
one of the examples is that we've been taught pretty much in all cultures, if you want it to happen, you got to go make it happen. You got to initiate.
Correct.
And there are actually very few people, when you look at the human design perspective of things, very few people who are actually designed to initiate out of the gate. Most of us were
Wow.
designed actually to receive information and then choose, like, discernment, right? Choose whether that's
Hmm.
a yes for us or a no.
Wow.
Not go chasing, but receive, like be magnets in the world that receives things coming to us and then we choose which of those things best align, which is completely opposite of how we've all been told. And so people feel guilty, like they feel like there's like bumps on the bums or bumps on the log sitting there,
Oh
kind
yes.
of, and as I tell people, I'm like, it's not that you sit on your couch and just wait for somebody to knock on your door. That's not it. You show up in the world. You show up in ways that feel aligned for you. But
Mm.
opportunities come from you showing up, not chasing something.
Wow.
And you can always tell. I mean, if you have to work really, 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 really hard to make something happen, you're working against your design. And so this woman's design is basically one of like flow. she's known.
Hmm.
She's a type within human design. It's known as seers. So they have a really high level of understanding. You could call it visionary in some respects. High level of being able to read a room. right? Read the
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities, the energy of the room, all of it.
Wow.
Like just read the room. And so what they're really supposed to do is sit back and take in all of the data, collect all the data that they're reading from the room, and then mulch all of that, integrate
Mm.
all of that. They're really, really powerful integrators.
Yeah.
And if they're being pushed to initiate too much, it completely messes it up. They get short-sighted as opposed to full compass of the understanding. They get very short-sighted because it's like pushing something through a hole that it doesn't fit. Like you've got a really big thing, like square peg round hole concept, and
Correct.
it's just not good. It's going to create tension that then creates resistance. And so I'm basically telling her you're going to be operating best, not only for your experience, like this little gnats, not only for your experience in life, but for what you generate as far as value when you
Uh-huh.
allow yourself to be in the flow. Like when things are easy and you're applying yourself, you're aligned.
Mm.
If you're
Wow.
applying yourself and they're hard, you're not aligned. That's not success. It's not going to lead to, even if you
Hmm.
check boxes as far as goals and expectations, something's going to give. Something's going to, like, you're going to have to sacrifice yourself to do it. Or something is going to be, is going to be taken away as opposed to and where we're
Mm.
adding ands instead of, oh, if we have this, then we have to take away this. So it's
Correct.
addition, subtraction. We want addition, 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 addition. And so
Oh.
she was just like, it felt so good, but also too, it just, like, all these things start lining up in your head. You're just like,
Mm.
oh,
Wow.
so much about
Wow.
my natural tendencies are starting to add up, and even my guilt
Yes.
trips on myself, or feelings of not fit, or all this stuff starts to kind of come to the surface, and people start to develop an understanding of themselves that's more correct.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's exciting.
Wow. As you were speaking, I put down we're not built to be hustlers. Where
I love it.
I'm going out there to hustle. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make this happen. And eh, as you're attempting to make it happen, you're getting more zeros than ones. Where one is success and zero is right failure or considered failure. Uh,
And what has
and
the
then
world taught us? It's
oh
taught
yeah,
us to work harder then. So it's doubling down on the very thing that's not working.
mm-hmm,
So when
mm-hmm.
it's not successful, then we just push even harder, which, so sorry to interrupt, but I just,
No, you're good. You're good. When I resigned from EMC, where everything, I didn't have to do anything for my business. It was already done. All I had to do was go there, sit, work, and leave. They had a marketing person, they had a branding person, they had a salesperson, they had all of those. When I started to run Joseph Solomon Management Consultancy, I I would freeze sometimes, and in my frozen state, I would go. I would be so overwhelmed. I would say to myself, "I'm a loser." Right? I was saying, "I can't. This thing is so hard." Then I started to find out, started to learn more. Right? Entrepreneurship. What I have to do. What don't I do? I started to learn, and I started to execute. Find people who are professionals and let me be my core competence, right? Between me coming to that and then finding out that I'm the person, and I think when you do my design, I have a feeling, just what you explained, to take the information, mulch it, and then engage it. I feel that's where I am, but you're the professional. When
I'm the
I
interpreter.
sit, I know. Okay, well, you're the interpreter, but I feel that that's going to clarify the need to not and you said it, waiting, resting is not being lazy. You are sharpening your tool or your tools in your shed in order to be prepared when that time arises, right? For you to
Yeah.
step on the stage and do. I find, I'm doing a couple speaking engagements here weekly now, and I'm finding out that everything that I've been through in the past is helping. Tracy, you just don't know. It's helping individuals in a way that I never thought it would assist. And there is no, and you know how we talk a lot, their topics are topics are vast. I cannot deplete the topics that I can go into. You can say something, there's something I have to say about it that I have been through in my trials, in the process of sharpening the tools in order for me to stand in front here with the grace and authority that you can listen and then regurgitate or tell me, I heard you this, and is this what I was? Well, it's yours to interpret. I'm just giving you what I went through. And if that's what you're interpreting, I can't control you to say you have what I have. No, you take it, look at the process in the way I present it, find yourself in it, find the ways you can process it and create you. Because if you're going to use my heuristics, you're creating me on top of you, who your design isn't mine, right? So it's
Yeah.
creating that framework, creating frameworks that you can see yourself in. It's okay, I think this piece, that piece, and the other. But excellent, excellent. My conclusion for that is I'm not a hustler. I'm
Yeah.
not going out
None
there.
of
I'm
us,
not going
none of
out
us
there to
are.
hustle. Yeah.
None of us
Yeah.
are hustlers. I mean, even the people, so in human design, manifestors are designed to initiate, but even the initiation process is by response, right?
Mm.
So there's still, everybody is designed to respond to their environment, not push their environment. And I think if we look at, I will go back to that quote that I don't know if I shared this last time, but it's been stuck in my craw for a while. I'm reading this book, and there's a part of it, they're talking about bees, and basically made this connection. We don't all know, I mean, but it's pretty common knowledge that bees pretty much are one of the main factors to the food chain, right?
Mm.
So if bees go away, so
Pollination.
will food.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot hinging on this simple, humble bee, this little tiny creature that all of us really, at the end of the day, rely upon to be able to live. And I got to thinking, I was like, so we know that if the bee were to become extinct, the rest of us would as well. What would happen if human beings became extinct?
Hmm.
The rest of life would probably do better. It would probably thrive. And the reason for that is because human beings go
Mm.
against the natural way or biology, right? And
Wow.
design. We are not, I mean, the beliefs that we have, the ways we have learned to be in the world, and perpetuated as truth, as fact,
Wow.
this is the best way, is control. It's to control and to increase. And really, increase is the byproduct of natural flow. So you don't have to work to increase things in biology,
Woo!
in the
Speak,
biological
dear.
world, right? The way God created the world, you don't increase is the natural result. It's not something you have to effort towards. But when you control things for the measure to try to increase, it actually has the opposite effect. Just like I said, if people are working outside of their design, it has the opposite effect. We will have far more losses than wins. We
Mm.
will we will have to exert 10 times the energy and effort to get one step forward. You see organizations throwing money at problems. We will have to spend millions or billions of dollars to not even get a solution. I mean, the fact that I think it's 10% ROI on the average PE, so PE investments, private equity investments, the average ROI is
Mhm.
10%. I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good investment. I'm
Mm.
putting out 100%, I get 10% back. That sounds horrible,
Mm.
but
Mm.
that's typical. And I'm like, has anybody asked the question, could we increase that? Like, or do you just take it at face value that you have to put out all this just to
Mm.
get 10% back? Like, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't seem so
Wow.
smart to me. So, this is all. Yeah, I've had a lot of theories drop in, and the other one going down a rabbit hole. I was in the
Go
kitchen,
ahead.
and the kids were there,
Uh-huh.
my daughter and her boyfriend, and I said, "Guys, what do you think about this?" It was like it came from a meditation. I'm like, The Wizard of Oz and The
Uh-huh.
Matrix is the same storyline. The same storyline. Now, if you and that's a brain melt, because you kind of have to stop and think, okay, what are
I
they going
am.
to take away the actual story and just look
Hmm.
at what it discusses, like what it represents, what it stands for, like what it's showing, and it's the same theme. And so my mind has been kind of like, ooh, this, and then the guys that are chasing um uh
Neo.
Neo, thank you. Chasing Neo, they're proliferating and they're all shooting him,
Mm-hmm.
doing this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the flying monkeys in the Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Like, there's
Okay.
all these, like, but
Mm.
that's going to be a fun thing. I'm thinking about having some sort of, I don't know whether it's going to be social, or I'm trying to come up with ideas on having that as like an event, like ways in which the Wizard of Oz and the Matrix are the
Correct.
same concept, and let's like pick
Correct.
them apart and talk, a discussion panel or something.
And can I jump in quickly and
Yeah,
then
oh my
do
gosh, please.
a summary? Is it that the end of this is the power is within? We have the power to expand and do what we're supposed to do,
Yeah,
and don't let
like
the external bring us down.
reality is perception, right? Like
Yes.
it's relative, just like time, right? It's relative to our interpretation. And so this
Oh my
idea of, red pill, blue pill, like we're in this matrix, like that is what everybody else has told us is our reality, as opposed to us determining what's our reality. What is the meaning of my reality? What is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of, like, again, if I'm inclined to be a certain way, I was saying this to this woman. I said, do you find, that you tend to process data in this particular way? And she's like, yes. And I said, do you also find you tend to question it all the time? She's like, yes. And I'm like, don't. Don't, because you were designed to understand this data in this way.
Come on,
And so you
Tracy.
bringing your head into it and questioning it is just keeping you out of being able to be of service in the way you were designed to be of service. So it's oh, I just blew it right off the grid, people. I'm already speaking to myself, so apparently I'll just continue this conversation. Hopefully he will join us. But for those of you who are listening, please don't have me talking by myself. Please come on and put in the comment section. I think I can see it. I don't think all of that is on Woolwin's side of things, but love to hear kind of what's coming up for you at this point in time, and how that is resonating with maybe your thoughts about your design.
There was a glitch. There was a glitch in the matrix.
There's a glitch in the matrix. Somebody didn't like that I was saying that.
Summarize for me. What did I miss? What did I miss? Please.
I just basically I was asking anybody who was listening, so that I didn't have to talk to myself, to put in the comments, what might be resonating around this topic for them.
Yeah, no, but what the last thing I heard was, we had the power. Reality is perception, uh, and the more you say it, and at the end, there's the guy, the little thing in the Wizard of Oz, that you go, that was controlling it. And then in the Matrix it's Neo who gets enlightened, and he can bend a spoon. He can do so many different things. And you say that it's one of my favorite movies, and when I'm watching it, it makes me know that I have powers within that I haven't developed yet.
Mm.
Because what you said, reality is perception. And what's my perception on this? What's my perception on? And you have to dig deep. When I say deep, you have to study it, right? You have to study it to get it, to
Become
know
aware.
it, be
Hmm.
yeah, knowledgeable of it. And once it comes there, and you say it's this easy, breaking the what was it, the 10 second 100 meter, and afterwards when
Yeah,
the
the
first person did it,
4 minute
and then
mile.
yeah, and then people just started to break it and break it and break it, and now people just what was the last Olympic? The person who was last in the 100 meters would have won Carl Lewis's race
Yeah, it's insane.
by a
Well,
lot.
and our technology, our human capacity technology, it's not just the tech, AI, and all of that that we think of, but like we have always had extreme amounts of capacity as humans that we have been completely unaware of. Right? What is our capacity? How strong can we be? How tolerant can we be? How loving can we be? I mean, these are all capacity markers.
Mm,
And yet we dummy it down, dummy it down, dummy it down. We get involved in the drama. We get, like last night, my husband's watching the debate, and I was like, I can take about 2.5 seconds of that stuff. I just can't, because I read the body language and the actual language, and I'm just like, nobody's showing up as who they are here. This is bullshit. Excuse my language, but like I can't tolerate it. Like I just it's like somebody to like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just can't.
yeah, uh,
And I'm like, you want to
yeah.
start getting real with me? I'll listen to you.
Mm,
But until then,
mm,
I just don't have the tolerance.
mm,
Again, it's not that I don't love people and I don't want, but I don't, again, like if you're not going to, if you're going to be wearing masks to the table,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just,
yeah.
I'm beyond being able to sit with, and it's interesting because I'm okay to be curious about it. But if it's
Mm,
just a show, that it's like,
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
just give you BS and I'm just going to keep pouring
Mm,
out, like, out of here. I was sitting with, I was sitting with a colleague, actually.
uh-huh.
So this is a professional connection of mine who is also a coach. She's a performance coach. And I had this moment. You've heard me tell the story about back in 2010 where that guy approached me and told me he couldn't work with me because my heart was okay. So I had the experience of being on the other side of that. So I was having coffee with this guy, and he's talking to me, and I just felt, I literally
Mm,
like felt my head doing this balloon thing. I just
wow.
felt so much pressure in my cranium. And after he was finished, I said, "May I share with you my experience
Oof.
just now?" And and I happen to know he's shared this. This is common knowledge, so I'm not sharing anything that he doesn't normally share. But he's had a number of brain tumors,
Okay.
and so I'm, my brain is always thinking, well, where there's pressure, it creates these issues, right? Like it starts to wear down and tear down the body system. And I was feeling such amount of pressure.
Mm,
And when I shared with him, I said, I feel like you were just coming from your, like, I feel so much pressure in the head. Like I feel in you so much pressure for you to make sense of things. Like everything has to be made sense of here. And I said, I feel like it's short circuiting you. And I mean,
mm.
he was open, but you could also see, I'm sure, exactly what
Oh
happened with
yeah.
me when this guy initially told me he didn't want to work with me. My ego was like, you could just see it. It was like this wall. And so, well, what do you mean? Well, what do you know? And I had
Yes.
so much compassion because I've been there and was even telling him that story. Um,
Mm,
but I realized that sitting with people again, it's an innocent thing.
hmm.
Until we learn to be vulnerable, we're not, because we've been trained not to be. We've been
Yeah.
trained that it's dangerous,
Mm,
right? To be who we are.
mm.
That we will be, I mean, I'm not just talking in our lifetimes, I'm talking throughout history. You don't fit into the tribe, you're cast out, and you're probably not going to make it. I mean, we have been so conditioned to follow what's expected so that we fit in and so that we will be safe and secure and taken care of. So it's become a part of our DNA.
Wow.
But I think that
Wow.
that's because we've also been trained over the multitude of years that we have to fit in as opposed to how we were designed to be, which is to stand out.
Mm,
We
mm.
were we were designed to stand out, to serve as a very unique puzzle piece to the world, right? So we stand out to fit in other words, right? We stand
Mm.
out so we can be that puzzle piece that fits perfectly in the place that was made for us so that we can serve the world the way we were created to serve it.
Whew.
And so
Yes.
it's just this unraveling of understanding and deconditioning and all of this that I find to be an incredibly exciting venture and you know journey, and
Mm.
tell people to enjoy it. You know, people are
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I feel like I'm this age and now I have to undo everything and start all over, and I'm like, whoa,
Hey.
whoa. Well, that's one interpretation. I don't think it's going to serve you very well, but
You
let's get in
know,
the sandbox and play a little bit. Let's be
that's
curious.
true. That's the idea. That's the idea. You know, you two things here. You had, stand out, being, and I wrote down being set apart. We've been set apart to be, right? I cannot, there's no way there's another Woolman Port, even though I called my son that. There's no way we're the same. There's no way I'm going to be my dad. There's no way I'm going to be. I remembered playing basketball, how I copied every single thing about Michael Jordan. I mean, oh, gosh. Whereas I should have copied and then added my own, but I copied even the way he walked. I mean,
Mm,
just copied. I just copied, and I sit today and I go, "Whew, I cannot stand that guy who copied that other guy because this guy had so much more to give, using him as an inspiration and
that's it.
not being a copycat, but being set apart to be. And the second one was, you talked about humans, how if and that shocked me when you said if the bee is extinct, becomes extinct, we go away. If we become extinct, the world becomes a better place. And I started thinking, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so
Yep,
true, right? In a way, right? So, but control and increase. But then when you said the natural state of things, 2 nights ago we went and visited some friends, a couple, and it brings us. Prior to going, my mother-in-law shows this bottle called Jigsimur, Jigsimur, and it treats pressure, diabetes. I mean, the list is long, and I'm looking at it like, "Well, whatever." At night, no, 2 days later, we go to our friend's house, and they have received the rights, the trademark, to be distributors of this product. And they say, "Oh, here's the product." And we go, "Huh? We just saw this 2 days ago, my mother and dad. Oh, wow." So tell us about it. They said, "We did our study. We shared it with people around here. This is uh, pretty much an elixir that just does everything to the point. So diabetes, joint pain, cyst, and they continue to talk impotence. The lady who hadn't seen her period for quite a while started to receive her period, and I'm looking at it and I go, "This thing is a blood cleanser." It seemed as though it's taken. And he says, "Oh, you urinate a lot after taking this." And I go, "What's the base of this product?" And then he says, "Aloe ferox." Now, aloe ferox is, from the aloe family, and the ferox only grows in South Africa, in a particular region in South Africa, and it's bitter. I mean, so bitter that when you have diabetes and you take the plain aloe, the substance from within it, and
mm-hmm.
put it
The
on
gel.
your the gel. Thank you, the gel on your whatever, it heals it. So this guy was talking, and just that when you were talking about the natural state of things, and this is a natural product that God has put on here freely. But do you know who in the investigation he said, you know who's going there? Pharmaceuticals are going and trying to take over the area and make it patent the area and say this is for us only. But the people who own it said no, it's for everybody. So that
Love it.
when you explain that to me, I was like, "Ah, wow, we are like we are so and in terms of negatively getting, gathering, and hoarding for so-called financial benefits versus taking it out into the world and helping others be blessed.
That's changing. That's where the paradigms are shifting, and people will sit there and, like, oh yeah, I don't know what world you live in. I'm like, well, it's relativity, right? So relatively
Yes.
speaking, we have as much of a chance of going that direction we do continuing go off the cliff that we're
Mm,
headed for. But I think that's a perfect representation of what we're talking about, is that
mm,
when it's about the one, and we can call the one, the one
mm,
pharmaceutical company, or the one industry, or the one, whatever, when it's for the purpose of the one, we will sacrifice the many.
mm,
And for what purpose? Just to have power. Because if you killed off everybody, what kind of life would there be? If you sacrifice the many for your one, like, you're left alone in the world. Like, I mean, I see this when people are just so, focused on their own success or
mm,
accomplishments, that they burn every single relationship bridge, even the professional, and then they wonder why they're alone. You're like, what
mm,
was this all for?
mm,
Just to be at the top of the rung, but by yourself. And
wow.
I don't think we stop and think about that. It's like, why are you working so hard to make X amount of money, so that you can invest in all, but for why?
What's your
What's the
motive?
purpose ultimately?
Mm,
Because you can't take
yes.
anything with you.
You
You just want
can't.
your legacy to leave behind that you were rich, or that you were powerful, or that you took over the planet. Like, I don't know how that's meaningful. And I think some people have chosen to tell themselves that story, that if I can get on top, I'm winning and that's enough. But at the end of the
Mm,
day, when they're alone with themselves at night, I can't believe that. I know too much about how humans work. And I
mm,
can't believe that they're like, oh, I sleep like a baby. I have no problem. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You can tell me all you want. I'm not going to believe you, because nothing is lining up. And it's not my opinion that I'm
mm.
that I'm basing that on. It's the
Wow.
person in front of me. You could just tell when somebody's
Yeah,
making up a lie that they've chosen to believe is truth,
that is so
when the
true.
actuality of it is not true.
Tracy, you as when it's about the one, the many I sacrificed, I see it. I see it. So Verlin and I are driving the other day, and it's so disheartening that on parts of the roadways, it's as if there's a festival going on at the red light, but it's not. It's children who are school age. They're out there being peddlers. They're out there being peddlers, Tracy. They're peddling, but what they don't know is there are these rich people who are passing in their Mercedes Benzes and their trucks, and they look up to them and say, ah. I say to myself, you're bowing to your oppressor.
Yeah, to your ultimate
You are
demise.
you are saying, I respect you, oppressor. Whereas you need to be, you are my oppressor. You are oppressing me. They are taking funds. They are taking money from these children in ways that and they get into places and they take their wallets out, and their wallets are this big with money. I mean, I'm telling you that money has been put in health, so it's that thick in a rubber band. And then they prefer that when they're eating, that someone can come behind them if they're eating outside, that someone can come behind them, sit there, hello, Tracy, Miss Tracy, hello, Miss Tracy, hello. And then they take out the wad and give them their own money and they go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you say, and you said it, I don't believe they can go home and sleep well. Moreover, stolen money has wings. It will always fly away. It will always fly away. Things that are not received or gotten properly, it's going to run away from you because you don't know the value of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into this store, Tracy, and again, this is eavesdropping a moment. We're talking. I go into the store to purchase something. It's a towel rack and a soap dish along just a set. But one soap dish that you can screw in the wall, the guys were selling it for $100. And I go, and it's chrome. And I go, that's $100? Like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, who buys it? They tell me, oh, the officials come in here and buy 6 at a time. I go, what? Oh yeah, they say bring 6, bring 7, bring 8. And I go, where are they getting this money from to buy 8 or 10 of these things? And I'm telling you, he who works for the money does not waste it like that, Tracy. There's no way you can waste it like that. So the one person is taking the wealth of the nation, whilst the nation is sitting there going, please help me, not knowing it's your right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think that that's what's shifting. I mean, if you look at times in history where they thought, well, this, like I think the French Revolution is a perfect example. I don't think aristocracy thought that the civilians were going to do what they did, was rise up and take down the aristocracy, right? They thought that they were
Yeah.
so protected to be, power doesn't have as much power as power wants people without power to think it has, right? Power is within ourselves. And once we start to realize that our power is within, not without, it's not in someone else's hands. It's within each of us. It's the power and the choice we have to where we put our energy. It's our energy investment. Am I going to put my energy and time into this project, into this person, into this opportunity, into this challenge, into this bit of information? Am I going to put it into watching the news? Am I going to put it, like, where am I investing myself, my mind, my spirit,
Mm.
my everything that is mine, because that is my power. When I give it away, I'm throwing it into things I don't want, and then I'm blaming the thing for making me upset. But it was my choice to put my energy and focus on it. When we start to realize and take this energy back and say, wait a minute, I don't want to spend my energy that way. Just like I wouldn't spend $100 on a soap dish, right? This doesn't align with me. I don't, like me last time, my husband's like, well, you want to know what's going on, right? With the debate. I'm like,
Correct.
not like this. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, that's not being informed. If it was actual information that was legit and I could tell it was legit, I would see it as information, right?
Mm.
I would feel like it was a way to inform myself. But when
Mm.
I can access the fact that this is not information, this is not anything that is going to help me be informed so that I can make a better decision, I'm not going to put energy and effort into it. And we're
Mm.
all starting to, I think the whole quarantine time had us stepping outside our day to day that we just took for granted, just took it as like, this is life, this is reality. And it turned it upside down. And we've had to shift through and sift through the rubble of our reality being turned upside down and put it back into place. But we've been in our own spaces to do that. We haven't been as, kind of swayed or distracted by all the, some people did. Some people chose to just stay distracted because they didn't
Correct.
go in. But a lot of people started to, ask those deeper questions like, wow, I've actually liked not having, a 45-minute commute, both ways. I've, liked, being with my kids more often, whatever, and started to piece back together,
Mm,
well, if I like this and it makes me feel more whole and it's where I want to put my energy and effort, not in constantly being in traffic jams and, being frustrated and, going to a job I actually realize I don't even like.
mm,
I mean, so people, the same thing with their relationships. I mean, they just hadn't been spending much time together. Now everybody's under one roof all the time. They realize, I don't know, I haven't really been putting much into this relationship, or I don't know if this is the one I want, or, I mean, we
whew.
started asking ourselves the deeper questions
Yeah.
because we were in
Yeah.
the situation to do so. That has started this snowball effect that I'm still
Hmm.
seeing going on and will, I think, continue to be, of taking our power back, taking
Yeah.
back that like awareness that no, it's up to me where
Hmm.
I put this.
Hmm.
It really truly is. And if I'm not happy, guess what? That's up to me as well. If
Hmm.
to make the changes, and I'm not saying it's easy.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
I always tell that people are like, oh, well, it's easy for you. I'm like, I'm not saying it's easy, and it's not easy for me. It's no easier for me or to any than it
Hmm.
is with anybody else. It's not
Hmm.
easy. What I'm saying is, it's doable. It's available. If we don't like that our energy and power is being given to somebody else, then we get to take it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is. Whew.
one
You
choice
know,
at a
and
time.
it's that. It's and we talked about it earlier, where once you know, once you're aware of it, that's why I love to experience new things. I would go and say, oh, wow, that exists. Oh, did they create it like that? So on my phone, if I'm watching a movie, I'm looking at design structures. And as long as I see the structure, I go, oh, I pause and I take the camera, click. So you would find so many different movies. I know if someone looks at my phone and they don't understand what I'm doing, they would see an actress or actor or something like, what kind of
What
random
is
stuff
this?
is this?
He's
But
stalking all
I'm,
these famous people.
I'm I'm telling you, right? Unbeknownst to them, I'm looking at designs and looking at things that I can broaden my horizon on these concepts of architecture and because I love to build. That's what attracts me. And I would see it, and Verlin would go, "Did you hear that?" And I go, "Did you see that?" And she goes, "What?" I said, "No, what did you hear?" She tells me what the dialogue was, and I said, "No, pause. Look at that structure back there. See how they did the woodwork?" And she goes, "Oh my good." And and but here's where I'm getting something. You see how a difference is? I'm I'm getting something from her that I didn't get. She says, they just said X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh, really? And she goes, ah, I just noticed that. Oh, that is beautiful. It's when we come to the table and I was about to ask you, how's your mastermind group coming, the group where you have the multiple coaches and all these individuals in there, right? Uh, when all of us come to the table and accept what we're bringing to it, and then when and accept what people are saying about this thing that we're all looking at, when we accept it, we all learn from it rather than me saying, nah, that's I'm not even going to listen to what you're saying because I want to see the architecture. Or she says, no, I'm not going to look at the architecture, I'm just going to look at. It's when we come together, and you said it, it's the power is in the collective. When we
Mhm.
all come together and say, yes, maybe my problem is in food, my problem is security. Oh, mine isn't food or security, is it's the ability for me to be passionate about the work I do, the availability of work. So all these different things when we can come. It all boils down to the collective not having the freedom to do what they're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
right? But
And when we
when we
do, we thrive, right? We thrive.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. But when we say all food insecure people stand on this line, all people who aren't happy, you are splitting us and we're
You're
less
controlling.
effective. You're controlling it. We are
Yep.
less effective to come to the table and say, ha.
Yeah, when we're separated from one another, we're far less effective.
Ooh,
And so
uh,
it's, I mean, but the thing is that there's always value in all of it. Right. So we were
correct.
separated from one another during COVID, but what was effective about that was it gave us the opportunity to find out who we are. I mean, I really think that honestly, when it comes to relationships, whether it's marriage or, if you're not a marriage based person, just relationships, in general,
Hmm.
we need teaching and coaching on that. Just like a lot of people believe that people should take parenting classes before having children. It's that this idea of, how much we get from being able to work with one another, as opposed to
Yeah.
just always operating under this idea of like, oh, it has to be the way, you know I mean, yes, we have a
Mm,
design, yes, we have a way of orienting ourselves that is most productive. But again, it would be like a door handle of a car. Being like, yes, I was created to be a door handle of the car, but just sitting over here, not connected to the rest of the car. I mean, it has no function. It's just sitting there. Same thing with the engine of the
yeah.
car. Like the
Yeah.
engine is powerful, but if it's just sitting over here and not connected to the rest of the car,
It goes nowhere.
it's just an engine, right? And so that's the key piece, is if we each can operate in the way we were designed to operate, the
Mm.
functionality that we were given, and then come together so we can actually make like a vehicle forward.
True. True.
That's where the ultimate power and the ability to thrive, and the and one of the things that I know a
Mm.
lot of people I've talked to are learning is to hold more than one truth, more than one fact at the same time.
Mm.
Can I be a powerful individual and be a productive member of this relationship or family
Wow.
or team
Yes.
or fill in the blank?
Yes.
How can I stand
Yes.
out and fit in to be of service, right? Do I have to sacrifice my uniqueness to be a part of the collective whole in the most productive way? Or is it in holding my unique ability that I am most valuable to the larger
Mm.
whole? And so
Gotcha. Gotcha.
that's really, I think, this integration of, first we have to kind of define the separation, who am I just as
Mm-hmm.
myself, and how am I meant to
Uh-huh.
operate in the world? And then reintroduce ourselves from that space. Not what does the world need from me, but what was I designed to give to the world?
Correct. Because I go ahead. I'm sorry. You were
I
still
know that's
talking.
it. I mean, that's
And
again, I think that's the time we're in, and really trying to answer those questions.
and I think what you just explained, who I am, what I am, and how what I give to the world, that opens the space for you to stand upon and do what you're supposed to do versus me attempting to be Tracy and I go and say, that's the place I want to stand. Tracy, move off. Wow. Wow. Wow.
We know what
Epiphany.
happens when we try to do that with puzzles, right? I know this
There,
piece
there,
fits in here. I know it does. I mean, like, you get fed up with that 2,000 piece puzzle and you just wanted the darn thing to be put together. You're like, I'm going to shove this piece, like,
this looks just like it. It's just like, no,
I
it's
know
not.
I know it'll go in there. Yeah.
They
So
made a mistake.
right, first of all, it jams this all up, but then there's going to be a gap over here where that piece is actually supposed to go.
It's going to be
So
empty.
it's,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
We,
there's a lot of analogies that fit, and I think that
yeah.
at the end of the day, we're being given a great opportunity. And
Mm,
one of the things with energy and where we put our energy and all of that is there's a lot of craziness going on. There's always been a lot to be afraid of, and we
mm,
can choose to focus our energy there,
mm,
right? And I'm not saying stick your head in the sand, but how do we hold the what's going on in our reality and not fixate on it, and be productive and be innovative and look for the solutions and be hopeful and be love, in the world, be more love in the world. Like, how can we
Mm.
realize these not so pretty things are going on and be something better? Model something, model what's possible next, because we have this extraordinary capacity. If people knew how quickly their body would heal when put in the right conditions, they wouldn't be so fearful.
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
mean, it's the fear that holds us in this save me, save me, save me place.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
all of
Yeah.
it, all of it. So I'm just inviting
Ah.
people to, extract themselves from the fear circus long enough to realize there are other realities that we can
Yeah.
tap into. Again, if you're in the fear circus, you're choosing to be there. And you can argue
Mm.
all you want with me on that one. And I'm going to hold firm to that.
Yeah.
You may not be consciously knowing you're choosing it, but you are. And so, invite you to consider something in a different way. And if you can't, get with people who are really good at shifting, and reframing the narrative, and
Yes.
consider what they have to
Yes.
say.
Yeah. I'll one more minute. Are you kidding me? Oh no, no. 3 more minutes. Yeah. So, as you were speaking, learn to focus your energy on, as I was writing solutions, before you said it, you said solutions. I'm like, that's it. Learn to focus your energy on solutions, not the wrong. I'm standing up with this gentleman yesterday, and he goes, "Man, everybody's talking about how this place is terrible. They don't have this service, they don't have that service." And he says, "I know a few people who have quarreled, argued, and created the solution, who have become millionaires, versus the ones who have quarreled, argued, and sat there and said, 'I can't stand it. I can't stand it.'" The action of going and finding the solution, the action of going and creating the solution, the act of going one step further, rather than doing the narrative of sitting with the group and crabbing, right? Bring it down. I think that's when you invited people. I also invite people to go into that space, to be solution oriented, right? And not quarreling, not pointing fingers, because the solution lies within you, because you're the one noticing it. You're the one who
That's
who
right.
understand everything about it.
That's
So
right.
come on, eavesdroppers. Tracy, you got 1 more minute to give our goodbye. Come on.
So just on that topic, there's a great little thing circulating from 1997. It was an interview with Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and
Amazon.
he was explaining how he got the idea for Amazon. And it was this, he's like, it was the infancy of the web, but he saw this
Mm,
opportunity, and he started to think, what is the one thing, like, what is the one category that has the most things? And he landed on
mm,
books. And he's
mm,
like, if this web thing allows us to sell all the stuff in that category, like every book, no, and he goes, and I'm not just talking about the ones in English, like books are in all these different languages, so billions and billions of books, and you don't have to have a store to hold all these books, and so he was looking at an opportunity, and a gap, and where there was a gap currently, right? Like,
yes.
nobody's doing this, but here's an opportunity, and there's this new thing called the web, the internet, that is going to allow us to have things without having to hold them.
Yep.
And so how do we capitalize on that? And so, to your point, if you're seeing something missing,
Mm.
it's because you're being invited to potentially fill that gap, or find a way to start to solution towards that.
Whew. Wow. Tracy, another
William.
hour's gone.
There
There goes
it goes.
EP15. To all of you, thank you so much for joining us. Truly appreciate it. And see you in the next 2 weeks. Tracy, have a good good rest 2 weeks until we see you again.
You too, Owen. Bye, everyone.
All righty. Bye bye.